We're drawing to the end of our conference. We're going to close that with 2 interventions, just to sum up what we've discussed over the last 2 days. The first of these comes from the President of the Polish CAA and the Chairman of the EASA Management Board, Piotr Samson.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the EASA Management Board, I would like to thank you very much for such wide participation in this year's annual EASA Safety Conference. It was organized in a bit unique format, but I hope you found it equally interesting and beneficial. Let me share with you my 3 observations about the current safety issues. The first one is that for the last decade, one of our main risk factors with respect to the safety was that we had too many flights, not enough free airspace, too many takeoffs and landing, and a lot of pilot fatigue because of the enormous amount of hours flown. What a paradox that currently the main problem and the main issue is that we have too few takeoffs and too few landings, too few flights. The second issue is the sustainability. The current situation brings us a bit of a change, but also a chance. It is with the, I think, great sadness that we see the end of the era of 4-engine passenger planes, such as wonderful 747 or fabulous 380. But on the other hand, that creates a room for the new technologies and the new, very environment-friendly, very efficient planes, such as A350 and 787. The third observation is that the aviation business is a cyclical business. So most of us expected some kind of the correction of the trend. Probably nobody of us expected that the correction will be so strong and so drastic. But we have to face it. And I think we should treat it as a challenge, not as a disaster. And I think the most important thing is that we will approach this in a balanced, coordinated way, sometimes maybe a bit creative. So let's treat this as a challenge and not as a disaster. And I hope that this year's conference brought you a lot of interesting food for thought. Thank you very much. Stay well and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Samson, for summing everything up for us and giving us a positive outlook. Finally, I'm going to turn over to EASA's Director for Safety and Strategy Management, Tytgat.
Thank you, Janet. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the last stage of this conference. This conference has been a tradition since many years to deal with safety. And this year, as you have seen, we had to deal with really less traditional elements. First of all, we had to organize it thanks to technology in this virtual way. And secondly, the topic, which normally speaking is supposed to be safety, we went beyond that. We had to deal with health and we had to deal with environment. And this is also an element of adaptation we had to do as the agency. We really thank you for having contributed to this conference in such a condition. At the conference, what happened? I mean, we had discussed three main areas. The first is how, when we go back to the recovery, how we will be showing that we are capable to maintain the highest level of safety for air travel. The second element, of course, has been the one very much discussed the last month, is how to ensure that traveling by air, how flying public, their health will be preserved. And how also we will consider that we have, after the crisis, a green recovery, that we have a greener aviation. We have seen during the discussions as well that we had, in fact, to adopt a strong communication and non-ambiguous statement from the aviation sector, which will have to confirm that what we do today, it's really to protect the safety of the passengers, that traveling by air is still safe on board the plane. We have also to show that, we are enhancing the environmental performance of air transport industry. That will be important in terms of message and communication. And the narrative will also have to include how we take care of our own people, the professionals for aviation. This is an important element. We have seen in all discussions that there's been an issue still to be tackled. It's the lack of coordination at European level, or lack of coordination or implementation of the measures between the member states. And that remains an obstacle. We have also seen as a consequence of that is creating confusion, that's reducing the appetite of the passengers to come back and to travel by air. We have also seen a multiplication of bureaucratic procedures which create a burden for the air travel. And we have also seen some complexity in the operations imposed to the operators at a time when industry requires to have a lean and a streamlined process. One could say that we have little to do as aviation. That is for the political level to take decisions to improve that. This is true. But does not mean that we should remain passive. And we should, as aviation community, speak with a single voice. And we should have an actionable program which will be seen both at political level and citizens and grand public level, that the aviation is working properly and is trying to take its share of responsibility in this context. So we are now at the end of this conference, and we have seen that even the health experts, we have listened to them yesterday, stating that traveling by air is safe and is not a vector of propagation of the virus when you travel by air on board the plane. Traveling by air, therefore, must be seen as safe, but we have, I think, all of us, we are all part of this aviation community. We should play our role. We should have in all respective roles, being national authorities, health, aviation, airport authority, airline operator, or crew member, research organizations. We have all a role to play in order to get, the best conditions re-established, and maybe that will give us the possibility next year to meet in a more traditional way. The one we preferred, of course, to meet physically and to have the capacity to discuss in the same room. I would like very much on behalf of the whole staff of the agency to thanks for the participation and the active contributions we have seen today and yesterday. And with this, I would like to pass the floor back now to Jeanette.
So thank you very much, Mr. Tytgat. Well, we're drawing to the end of our conference now. There are some thank yous in order, first of all, to all of our speakers, both remotely and here in Cologne, also to all of our panelists, to the moderators who led us through the sessions, to the technical team who kept things running throughout, to many people in the background at EASA who prepared in various ways and made this conference run as smoothly as it actually did. And of course, finally, to everybody out there for participating, because if we didn't have you, then it wouldn't be worth it. There will be recordings made of everything that we've done, and we're putting those online. You'll be able to reach them through the EASA website in the next few days. We will also have at least some of the slides there, possibly all of them. We're still working to actually establish that. I hope you found the conference useful, despite the limitations of the virtual format. I'm sure we all fervently hope for ourselves and for our industry that indeed next year we'll be able to meet in person. Thank you very much.